Hey everybody, it's John, the Bipbopboom channel, and I just had like 6 cups of little shots of espresso, so I'm gonna try to squeeze everything in, and some shout outs, VCLT, some reviews, and some yapping. But we're gonna be starting off with this Soviet Union heavy metal band, 1988, and they're called Abryct, A-B-R-Y-C-T. And that translates to August, like the month August. And this is Retaliatory Strike. And a really fun record, really cool. Crazy intro, all in Russian, no English at all, besides it says, made in USSR. But I thought it was gonna be more Scorpions-esque, because that's just what I pictured, but not at all. Crazy fake crowd, like a normal dome crowd. But it's a little more classical metal and heroic metal, but weird enough, foreign enough. Some keyboards, some organs, but really, really interesting, really fun. And I'll let it play, and I'll turn it up. You can hear a little Yngwie. Well, you will in a second. Not too much, but. Well, anyway, so 2 nights ago, I'll turn it up and down. 2 nights ago, I saw the Michael Schenker Fest in Boston, and what a great show! It was, you know, Michael Schenker group with 3 original singers and Doogie White from Schenker's Temple of Rock. And I haven't listened to Schenker records in a while, but after that show, I dug them out and I wanted to revisit them because it was so great. So I'll talk about the show and some of the records. But Schenker opens up with an instrumental, and he brought out Gary Barden, the original singer, to do a set. And this is the Michael Schenker Group's first record, 1980, Chrysalis, with Gary Barden singing. And they did, he opened up with Into the Arena, and not to go through the whole set, but then Gary Barden would do 5 tunes, like 4 classics and then 1 new one. Then they'd do an instrumental and the next single would come out. But they did Armed and Ready, Cry for the Nations, and he opened with Into the Arena. And then 1980 or 81, I've got this little EP, which is Cry for the Nations, and it's got live Armed and Ready, Into the Arena. And that's with Gary Barden singing, Cozy Powell on drums. There's the second Michael Schenker record, MSG, and this would be like 82. Chrysalis records, 81, sorry, 81. And this was a great lineup here, this album. Is Chris Glenn on bass, who's the bass player for the show, the Michael Schenker Fest. Michael Schenker, Gary Barden, Paul Raymond on guitar and keyboards from UFO, and the late great Cozy Powell on drums. But he had a different guy on guitar and keyboards, kind of doing the Paul Raymond thing, and he had Ted McKenna on drums and Chris Glenn, as I said, on bass. And this is now the 3rd Michael Schenker group with Graham Bonnet, and this was basically the band with the other guitar player, and there's Ted McKenna and Chris Glenn. And this is Assault Attack, which they played, and Graham Bonnet came out. Never seen him. He's great. He still has that slick back hair and sunglasses, and he wore the tie and the dress shirt. He's kind of goofy, but he was kind of like a mini legend. But they did the Desert Song, Dancer, and each singer would, like a background, one of the other singers would back them up. And then when Graham Bonnet came out, there was 2, and they built up by the 4th set where all 4 singers are out. Then I don't think Graham Bonnet ever toured with MSG before, and then the 4th record was Built to Destroy in 83, and this is back with Gary Barden, and it'll have Chris Glenn on bass and Ted McKenna on drums, from the same as the tour now. And they did like Captain Nemo off this record. Then I have a live record, Rock Will Never Die, and this is from 84, and it's all like the greatest hits with Gary Barden singing, and that's Chris Glenn. But they closed this record off with Dr. Doctor with Klaus Maney and Rudolf Schenker guesting. So it's cool to hear like Klaus and Gary trading verses, and that's just what they did at the show I saw, where singers would be, they did UFO songs and they'd all be trading verses. And then Michael Schenker group with Robin McCauley, and he was fantastic. He didn't have this like crazy hair. He was more like straight up metal. He looked like a real mini metal god, like Joey DeMaio from Manowar, and he was a real good frontman. But they did some of his best songs. And I don't have the other Michael Schenker group. I think there's another record after this, and another Michael Schenker record after that. But they did a bunch of UFO songs, and Doogie White came out and did a set. I don't have any Doogie White or Temple Rock, but I have this later day Richie Blackmore's Rainbow from, I don't know, like 2000 or something. There's no year on here. But there's Doogie White, and he's more Dio-esque singer, and he's really good. He sounds more Rainbow-ish, which is kind of funny because Doogie White and Graham Bonnet were both in Rainbow, so they could probably like trade their Richie Blackmore stories on the tour bus. But this is a pretty good record. It's got Still I'm Sad, the Yardbirds cover with vocals, because Rainbow covered that on the live record, instrumental version. But Hall the Mountain King, which actually Richie Blackmore's very first band cut a single of instrumental of that in the 60s. But the rhythm section was great. Chris Glenn, the bass player, he's kind of a heavy guy, Scottish, but real like stereotypical British roadie bass player look, and he was really fun to see. But he's originally from the sensational Alice Harvey band. There he is, and there's the drummer Ted McKenna, both from the Michael Schenker group. And this is like 1974, 75, 74. And this is kind of glammy rock, kind of weird, but I follow this with like Mott the Hoople, the guy in makeup. And this album's all covers, and actually, no, this isn't all covers. This is Impossible Dream. The next one, the Basement tapes, the Penthouse tapes, is all covers. And there's Chris Glenn and Ted McKenna and like just weird stuff. It was that era. But they cover Crazy Horses by the Osmonds and School's Out, Alice Cooper, Runaway, Del Shannon. But kind of fun stuff. I don't recommend it, but definitely if you're into that, you know if you need this or not. And so that was a great show, and they did like Doctor, they did Coast to Coast, the Scorpions, or Michael did, Doctor, Rock Bottom, Shoot, Natural Thing, Lights Out, and to see 4 heavy metal vocalists up on stage, trading verses and goofing around, it was a wonderful show. We played for like 2 hours, 40 minutes. Fantastic. Highly recommended. I think it's coming out west and southwest. And that's that. I got some VCLT a long time ago from Steve. Hello, Steve! The Headbanging Zulu. And Steve once got me a flag last time, but I use this now as my dust cloth for my turntable. So thank you, Steve. But I got this 45 from 1981. Gary Holton, the Casino Steel, and this is like right up my alley. I think I mentioned Gary Holton to him once, and I'm a big fan, like more than he probably knows. This is from 1981. They got their Johnny Thunders, Andy McCoy kind of look, and this is like that. It's kind of country, but it's in that sleazy Hanoi Rocks, New York, Johnny Thunders kind of groove. But it's well produced. It's like 80s production, so it comes off more like Rod Stewart almost. But it's really cool. And that's just on Polydor. But Gary Holton, I wanted to show that I really appreciate this, and my wife does too. She's a big fan. But Gary Holton was the singer of the Heavy Metal Kids, which is not a heavy metal band. British working class, pre-punk, very Faces, Stonesy, and hard rock, like a Rough and Ready, Mott the Hoople. This is from '74 on maybe Atco Records, and good record if you're into that dirty rock and roll. This is their second album. They were just called The Kids, and this is Anvil Chorus. This is from '75, and there they are. And there's Danny Peyronol, who was in UFO before Paul Raymond. But cool record. And there's their third and final record before they broke up, which is called Kitsch. It's kind of an arty cover, '76, and they cover. They do a song called She's No Angel, which Michael Monroe from Hanoi Rocks covered on his first solo record, which is kind of an obscurity for Michael Monroe to cover. So that Gary Holton, I really appreciate that 45. And the guy he's with, Casino Steel, is another guy I'm a big fan of, who was in a band called the Hollywood Brats. 73, 74, they were the British New York Dolls. And they recorded an album that was never released. Maybe it was released in the 80s, limited, but very hard to find. I think this is only available on CD. And they were definitely the New York Dolls of England. Good record. Sleazy, punkish, glammy, guitar-based. And Casino Steel was the piano, keyboard player, and sometimes singer. And they broke up, and they went on and formed a classic punk band from England called The Boys. And The Boys, there's so many bands called The Boys. Leo, Too Much Metal is Barely Enough, talked about The Boys from Australia. I looked them up, a rare, like, power pop band from Australia, but not to be confused with them. Not to be confused with The Boys. This is kind of a rare power pop single from Lincoln, Nebraska. And this is kind of like Beatles-esque, you know, power pop from the late 70s. Baby It's You, Bad Little Girl, but on Titan Records. But this is a pretty good power pop obscurity. Also not to be confused with The Boys, B-O-Y-Z-Z, from Illinois. I think they're from Illinois, and Too Wild to Tame. I used to see this record all the time as a, you know, shopping. It was always a buck. I grabbed this. It's actually a pretty good hard rock, you know, hard, like almost poppy hard rock. A little bit of almost a southern rock boogie in there, but a couple good tracks on here. It's worth it for the $2 or $3 this, if you ever see this record. Too Wild to Tame. The title track is pretty good, and they got some good shots. He's going for that Marlon Brando Wild One, and they got like the local biker gang and the band's there, and they got the vintage 70s choppers. Really cool. They're mixed in with the bikers, and lead singer's dressed like Marlon Brando. It's not a great record, but well worth $2 or $3. It'll give you entertainment. But anyway, The Boys, the Casino Steel is from, was a British band, great band, and this is their second record, Alternative Chartbusters, from '78. And this is a reissue on Get Back. I bought this in around 1999, 2000, 2001. And really killer punk, catchy punk with kind of like the Clash, the Jam, and just very British. I love this record. This is their third record, To Hell with the Boys, also reissue on Get Back from '78. And it's gatefold, but I think it's just lyrics in there, nothing but cool record. And this is their fourth record, I believe, final record, probably from '79, and it's called Boys Only. And actually, this is really good. This I'll put on The Boys because I have a CD. I don't have the first album on vinyl, but I have it on this thing called The Boys Collection, which is the first two albums put out on Tang Records. And the first album wasn't reissued by Get Back. I think it was reissued by Captain Oi Records. Real good punk. And I saw these guys have a reunion maybe 10 years ago in Venice, Italy, believe it or not, at a punk fest. And they were fantastic with Casino Steel and really good. So thank you, Steve. I want to do a shout out for Andy, and I got his Tales from the Dead Wax, great comic book, and mine's collectible because my vinyl Richie, I drew mustaches on all the pages with him. So I've got the one with the mustache vinyl Richie. But thank you, great work, and good luck to you on that venture. And I wanted to do some shout outs, which I had to write down because I don't know how to do links. Oh, here we go. New guy on the VC I want to give a shout out to. His name is John Young, John Young, and he just did a video on New Wave of British Heavy Metal. He's only got 3 videos, but he looks like a real collector. He does like psych rock, new metal, and classic rock, and he collects a lot of Detroit rock. And then Sack Blabbeth 65, I've been watching him for a while. He doesn't have enough viewers. He kind of puts out short, sporadic videos often, and they're really funny. He doesn't take himself seriously, but he's actually here they are, Sack Blabbeth 65, and I guess you can keyword John Young and New Wave of British Heavy Metal, and they'll come up. But Sack is you know, they look low budget, and he definitely doesn't take himself seriously. But if you actually listen to his reviews, the guy's really intelligent, and I feel like I agree with almost everything he says. Like, you could go back to his old videos, and he'll give you the honest truth of records, and he's good, and only take 5 minutes of your time. But just a shout out to those cats. I just want to file some stuff away, so my review of Saxon's new record, Thunderbolt, and great record, you know, fantastic. Saxon as always, and these guys are masters of their trade. They just know how to put out a perfect record every time, or a perfect Saxon record. And they remind me, and this will go out to, here's a cheers to John, Captain Howdy, for 2,000 subs. Just water. But Saxon reminds me of James Bond movies in a way. Like, the classics are like Goldfinger and Dr. No. Then it got a little sketchy in the middle with like Moonraker and Timothy Dalton. But then, like, you watch any James Bond nowadays, the last few years, like, they're all just great. They're not the greatest movies in the world, but they're all just very good spy action movies. You get exactly what you pay for. And Saxon are the same way. You just get exactly what it is. Straight up heavy metal from the masters. And like, I listened to this record like 6 times. There's like 2 tracks I'll skip over, but they cover like every topic you can, like the gods from Mount Olympus, about flying with Icarus to like early airplanes, Nosferatu, everything, Sons of Odin, a song about wizards and spells, speed merchants, you know, the fast cars, the roadies song about roadies, song about snipers and guns, Predator, you know, but they do a Motorhead tribute called They Played Rock and Roll, and it's the best Motorhead tribute I know, and it actually made me cry. Like, I could cry to that song. It was so good. Expect that middle section, it way better than that Metallica tribute, that way better than that lousy song, but really good, and it catches the spirit of Motorhead. And The Secret of Flight, probably my favorite song on here. But great record. I mean, if you're into Saxon, you're gonna want it. But I mean, I'm not recommend to everyone. But these guys are the masters. A couple quick things just so I can file them away. Books I read a long time ago but never talked about was the Metal Blade Records book by Brian Slagel, and the owner of Metal Blade Records. Quick read, cheap book. That was interesting. I can't say it was great. I wish he had a co-writer or a ghostwriter. I mean, he has a co-writer, but someone that would have brought out a lot of stories and anecdotes. And more dirt and more obscure bands. He didn't get into the obscure bands so much. And if you're not going to put the obscure bands in this book, where else are you going to put them? Like, I want to hear about Predator. I want to hear some of the other interesting bands. But good story anyway. A couple pictures. But I felt it was a little thin. And then the Neat Records book, which was recommended also from Leo, Too Much Metal. And this was great, Damn the Machine. And this is an in-depth book of Neat Records. And the owner of Neat Records and his relationships with bands. And very German guys in here, the personalities. And a lot of, like, heavy on, obviously, Celtic Frost, Halloween, Running Wild. But you know, you got some good stuff in here, like a Voivod or Creator, but great book, heavy read, but it was good. And is that all I'm gonna do? Blackmore rules. I just want to say I'll have to bring out the Flying V for the other video. Thank you, Steve, and I hope I covered everything. But anyway, cheers.